Hello, Kaz.
Hey man, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fine, man. How are you?
I just got off a tedious night shift to 7-Eleven. I'm feeling pretty good.
Hi, that's nice. That's nice. So we are joined by Kaz, Anarka Akaza,
Yep.
and Kaz. I have a co-host. This is Franz.
Hey man, how you doing?
Hi, Kat.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
I'm
yeah. So,
tired.
all right, Kaz, Franz, Kaz. All right. So Kaz is going to be our special guest for tonight's episode of Hold Up, wherein we interview artists, experts, and professionals, also being recorded and uploaded on podcasts Spotify and other podcast streaming services. So, Kaz, I want to say hello to the listeners for tonight to Jam Lam Radio.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? You rocking and rolling? Should be.
Rock. We should be. It's Independence Day here today.
Oh yes, it is.
Yeah.
I saw that.
And can you introduce yourself to everyone here?
Yeah, of course. My name is Anarka Akaza. I'm from originally Kansas of the U.S., but I just recently moved to Illinois. I've got about a half a decade history with the Philippines as of now. I
Hmm.
met a beautiful girl on July 9th of 2016, and about a year later, I went to the Philippines for the first time in June 10th until July 25th, 45 days there. Uh,
No?
I tried to bring my girlfriend to the U.S., but it didn't really work out. So in 2018, May 29th, 2018, I moved to the Philippines for 9 straight months, and that's
Oh.
pretty much when I discovered Urban Bandits, Giant Idiots, Dead Ends, and Pinoy Punk, and I've been reviewing all the records and interviewing ever since.
Hmm. Awesome.
Nice.
I'm
Well,
just a music journalist.
pretty sweet that you still remember the date where you met your wife.
Oh yeah, I'm hardcore OCD on that.
It's really pretty sweet. I mean, my wife, if she asked me what date I met her the first time,
Oh
I'd have
no.
no idea, and she's gonna take me to hell and back.
Yeah, I'm a little sad because due to coronavirus, I can't return.
Yeah,
I'm gonna miss our 4 years, but
yeah. You had a plane ticket. You had a schedule to come back
yes.
back in April, right?
Actually, originally
Or
September
March?
22nd,
Oh,
2019, but finances kind of hit me on
oh,
that.
okay,
And then
okay.
December, but the
Mm,
latest one is March 3rd, but Corona.
mm. Right,
Mhm.
right, right. That's unfortunate. But how's your wife holding up, including her family here?
And she's pushing through. Um,
Mhm.
her father unfortunately passed away last year, the night before
Oh,
her birthday, so she's been raising her little brother,
hmm,
Mhm.
and I'm
okay.
doing everything that I can to help out, but I miss her.
They're in Cavite, right? Or was it
Yeah,
Laguna?
they're in Cavite.
Cavite. Cavite.
Mhm.
There you go. There you go.
How about you? How
Cavite.
is it? How's the coronavirus affecting you there?
How's it affecting me? Well, it is
Yeah,
actually the
sorry.
reason I'm in Illinois right now because I'm from Ottawa, Kansas. Like
Mm.
4,000 people total in my town, and like my lease ended on March 1st, 2020, and there was no virus in Kansas then. Not even
Mm.
3 weeks later, the virus had hit Kansas, and
Oh.
I went from being full time employed in a place to being jobless and almost homeless. That's how bad it kind of affected me. But like right now, I'm doing perfect though. Working, it's at a
Mm.
7-Eleven, have my own place in Illinois, doing perfectly fine now. But there's over
So
36 million Americans who are unemployed right now, and similar to the Philippine government, our government's not really doing best at
mm.
helping aid
Yeah.
relief.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm not really sure. I'm not good at geography when it comes to the U.S. Just a bit, about New York and California. But how far is Kansas from Illinois? Is it like
Five.
how
It's
like
425 miles. I know that
Okay.
because I
I
drove
don't even
up
know
here.
miles. I just know. Oh, you drove up there.
Yep,
Oh my,
it took me 7 hours.
dude! Like,
Wow.
all your stuff, you just put it in the car. Or did you at least hire a hauling company?
So, I don't know if you read about it or not, but the
Mm-hmm.
Trump administration sent out a stimulus check to most Americans 18 and over. It was $1,200, and on
Mm-hmm.
April 13th, I got mine, and a couple days later, I bought a minivan, and I stuffed my moped and most of my
Oh,
stuff in my minivan.
oh,
Yeah,
oh! That's well, that's pretty cool.
yeah. I've
That's pretty.
never stuffed a moped into a van before, but
Yes.
it was fun.
Yeah. So you've done all your redecorations for your new house. You
Somewhat. I work
yeah.
so much that I kind of get lazy when I get home, and I just pass out. But yeah, I got my records up on the wall.
But do you work nights though, Kaz?
Yes, 10 p.m. to
Oh,
6 in the morning.
whoa,
It's
whoa! What
when's
time is it right now? There.
it's 5:52. I got off an hour early because I
Oh,
told
okay.
them that I had something special to do, and they're like, "All right."
Well, thank you for for considering us for
This is the
being here in the program.
this is the
Yeah.
first time I've ever been interviewed. I'm used to being on the other side of the mic.
There you go. There's always first time. So Kaz is a music journalist.
Mm-hmm.
He's also a record label owner, and
Yes, I am.
he's an artist as well. So Kaz, tell the guys about what type of music you produce, or at least you create.
I'm just saying, I got the biggest grin on my face right now. I've never been interviewed before. This feels so weird.
Well, you're gonna get used to it. I'm gonna be asking you questions here and there.
oh, oh darn. Are we allowed to swear on this? I forgot.
Hmm.
Oh, I'll keep it down. But so my music. That's funny. So
Hmm.
I have 4 albums. Two of them are finished, but the first
Hmm.
one's called. Actually, no, I lied. So in 2016, I'm a noise musician. I like noise, noise rock, no wave, noise terror, well, there's like a million different subgenres similar to punk rock, but
Hmm.
pretty much I grew up on punk rock and hardcore in '77, like the Pistols, the Ramones, Dead Kennedys,
Hmm.
Minor Threat, DOA, Bad Religion. I grew up on that stuff for the majority of my life, and then in 2011, I found a band called Sonic Youth, and I was like, "What the heck are these kids on?"
Well,
Like,
I'm guessing you're young.
I'm
You're
26.
quite young to have discovered Sonic Youth in 2011.
Well, it's kind of funny because my buddy, he's
Hmm.
my best friend Chad, I'll just name drop him. He's known
Hmm.
about them since he was younger, and it was a random. I can't remember the day it was, but sometime in 2011, I think it was in May. He called
Hmm.
me up. He's like, "Dude, turn your TV on to the local PBS public broadcasting station in the U.S." I
Hmm.
was like, "Okay." There's a note. Then Sonic Youth was playing their final show in 2011 before Kim Gordon
Right.
and Thurston Moore split up, and
Right.
I just I watched that and I had never heard of noise rock before, and
Mm.
so he let me borrow his washing machine CD, and oh my god, that was just punk rock. So before I got into punk, I listened to, Metallica and Disturbed and all that crap that my mother was into, like, the top 40 hit stuff. And
Sure.
then I found Bad Religion and No Effects and all them, and that was like a meteorite just hitting my mind, punk rock
Mm.
was. And then noise rock, I was like, wait, so like, this is rock and roll, but I can't even explain the euphoria, the escape of it. Because noise is
Mhm.
like, no, punk has its uniform code. Raw, stripped down, no BS rock and roll.
Right.
Noise is limitless.
It
And
is.
yeah, noise to me is limitless. Like,
Mhm.
you can just obliterate a guitar or just
Mhm.
anything, scramble it together for noise music. And I just
Right.
like how anarchic noise music can be. So
Mm.
in 2014, I believe it was, I no, in 2013 I moved to San Francisco, California, and I formed a noise core band called am I allowed to say curse words on here at all?
Yeah, well, say it. It's the name of the band anyway. Right,
The
right.
name of the band was Vaginal Aftershock, which it has a story behind
There you
that. But it was a noise core band, and
go. Uh-huh.
that was from 2013, 2014. Me and my buddy Josh, we worked at Rasputin Records. We formed it. We put
Uh-huh.
out one record, and I cannot find it to this day. I lost it in 2015. Jimmy's been like hounding me over that. He wants to hear it so badly. But
Oh, just for context, Jimmy is actually Jim of Jimmy's Insanity friends.
Jimmy's
Um,
insane.
Mm.
Kaz and Jim are good friends,
Oh
and
yeah, he's my buddy.
he's actually Jim actually is the one who introduced me to Kaz. All right,
Yes, he
so
did.
go ahead.
But yeah, after Vaginal Aftershock disbanded in 2014 because January 9th I had to leave California because Rasputin had decided to lay off everybody because record stores sometimes do that, unfortunately.
Oh
And
yeah.
Mhm.
San Francisco is one of the most expensive cities in the country, U.S., and I couldn't. I lost my job. I was like, oh shit. So, pretty much had to move back to Kansas. And,
Mm-hmm.
it was 2014, and I was living in my buddy's basement at the time. Nice basement, by the way. And it just, there was a girl who I was seeing since 2011. Her name is, and this is the, by the way, so this is the only time I'm ever going to talk about the story behind my first ever track on recording.
It's gonna be on the record though, so yeah.
Yeah, so anyone listening to this, I mean, I'm not Gene Simmons or Jel Biafra, but in the future,
Never know.
this is the only place you're getting
Yeah.
this. So
Mhm.
my first ever noise song is called Kurosuti. It's fake Japanese because in 2016 I was a weeboo when I moved to Japan for 6 months, but we'll get that later. But
Fran,
K
these are
U
we.
yeah
Okay.
K
All right.
U R U I S U T I. I think I spelled that wrong, but Kurosuti, fake
Mm-hmm.
Japanese, very fake Japanese. But the
Mm-hmm.
song is there was this girl named Christy. She's from North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of seeing her off and on from 2011 until 2014. And what happened was, out of absolutely nowhere, she dropped me off the face. This was my first love. She dropped me off the
Oh.
face of the earth, blocked me completely without warning. And
Yeah.
it just, I remember I woke up to being blocked and I started bawling. I grabbed my guitar and just wailed on it. And I think it was like 6 o'clock in the morning too. I just wailed on it and just hit the record button and yeah, and then I got on my drum set and I just boom, 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 started that shit up, and my
Mhm.
very first noise rock song was done. I mean, I don't make vocals to my songs because nobody
Mhm.
in their right mind would want to hear me sing. But
I would though.
you and Jim are maybe the only two. But no, I sung in Vaginal
I'm up for it
Aftershock.
too.
Uh, I kind of shouted and screamed in Vaginal Aftershock. That's not
Mhm.
really singing. If you ever hear that record, you might lose your hearing afterwards. It's that intense. But Kuro City, and then I remember 20 and see, I moved to Seattle, Washington in 2015, and I made a track there called Homo Sapiens Beach, which is Jimmy's favorite song by me. That's
Mhm.
he's different. I love him,
Mhm.
joking. But that one, and then I made two other tracks, Irate Tracer, and my very first ever release is called The Current with a K, D Vision of Fakeality, because my album is called Fakeality, my first album. The
Mhm.
current division of Fakeality is a huge batch of metaphors because current with the K, meaning opposite of like current with the C, is like current of waves, current of water, or the current, the present. It's
Mhm.
kind of spelling current with the K. I'm trying to remember how I thought like 4 years ago. This is hard. Um, Pretty much the current division of Fakeality EP is just a botched idea. That was actually supposed to be the name of my first studio album, the current division of
Mhm.
Fakeality. It's just like a reality is a real sort of thing. That's why I spelled cur wrong and division of fakeality, fake reality, a non-vision, something like that. As I don't, back then I didn't really believe in reality. I thought the world was. I can't explain my old self. But anyway,
So,
that's
so
why I,
it's
that's why I dropped that name in
mhm.
2020. Fakeality, my first full album, has been released a while back. I need to make CDs for it, but and then my other album is called Nihilistic Endorphins. It's um
That's what I'm familiar with. Hmm.
yo, you're familiar with that one?
Yeah. You sent me the link for that one.
Yeah, that one's a lot.
Yeah.
The Fakeality's on a more personal note with noise,
Hmm.
and Nihilistic Endorphins is very politically charged and set in the climax of modern day American, Philippine, and Chinese politics, which I'm not going to get into all that, but it was my first dive at politics on my own, though. And then my third album is called Tito's Revenge. It's a noise core album that I made myself. I'm from Kansas. You know the Wizard of Oz, right?
Sure.
Yes.
Every single
Toto.
person
Mm.
makes when I go somewhere else, they're like, "Hey Dorothy, you tap your shoes twice," or "Hey man, you're not in Kansas."
Yes.
Everywhere, even in the Philippines, I had people making Wizard of Oz jokes. So Toto's
I'm
Revenge is
I'm gonna say
that.
the same thing when you come here. When I meet
Hello,
you. Yeah.
goodness gracious.
I'm not gonna miss my chance, man. So get ready.
But yeah, that's what Toto's
Yeah.
Revenge is. It's just
Yeah.
It's just me giving everybody some shit,
Hmm.
who's like, I'm gonna make a million Wizard of Oz jokes because that's literally all Kansas is known for.
Hmm.
Wizard of Oz.
What is Kansas about, though? Aside from the Wizard of Oz,
What do you mean? What is it about?
I mean, what does
What
Kansas
else?
have that other states don't have?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness, that's a
I'm gonna make
really
you
good
think.
quiz. Let's.
I'm gonna
Oh,
make.
what does Kansas have that other states? Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna make a generic answer for this because I was gonna be sarcastic, but Kansas is a
Hmm.
huge state. Not really, in landmass. Not really.
Hmm.
Kansas has the big cities are Kansas City, Kansas City, Missouri,
Sure.
Topeka,
Hmm.
Manhattan, Wichita. Kansas has an ungodly amount of abandoned ghost towns from the east side of Kansas to the west side. And
What does it mean when you say ghost town? Did you say
Ghost
ghost town?
ghost towns. Ghost
Ghost.
so
towns.
during the 1930s in my state, which I know was damn near 100 years ago at this point, but hey, some places take a long time to recover, I guess.
Hmm.
Kansas had a bunch of towns and tribes and civilizations throughout the entire state. And then in the 30s, the Dust Bowl went through and wiped a lot of it out, and people just moved to the bigger cities and stuff like that. Like, that's why you'll find countless small towns that don't even have 20 people in them all throughout
Oh,
Kansas.
wow.
Yeah, some
Wow.
towns just have a church or a Casey General Store or a gas station.
Wow.
Maybe not even that. That's
So
my.
it's kind of the most rural
I wouldn't say
area.
it's the most rural, but
Places, yeah.
it's getting there.
Yeah, yeah, especially ghost towns, man. Like
Like
I can imagine, Western films like indie Western
Yes.
being
Kansas
being.
has a lot of good wheat beer.
Yeah.
A lot of
Oh
good
yeah.
wheat.
Well, that okay. We now have Franz and I now have a reason to visit Kansas.
Yes.
Go to the Not
I
Lost
I just
Brewery.
heard
I,
here and I'm
yeah.
so ready.
Yeah. Whenever I go to the states, it's the local beers that I try to look for,
Make
and
sh-
there's always a different flavor.
make sure you go to the Not Lost Brewery in Ottawa, Kansas. That's my favorite hometown brewery.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's my
Right.
it's. Let me put it this way, because this kind of ties into what I do as a. Oh boy, what's that
Mhm.
noise?
Oh, it's just the background. Friends?
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
there's an airplane flying
There,
above
there.
me.
What the
Like,
heck?
yeah.
That's
She's in
so
her garden.
that's so random. But no,
Yeah.
like so
Mhm.
my town has like 3,500 or 4,000 people, something like that. It's really small,
Mhm.
and since well, no one from my town's gonna watch this, hopefully. So when I say this, but like Ottawa is a town where you put your thumb to the street and it's a dead pulse. Like nothing's going on, nothing.
Mhm.
People go to Walmart at 6 a.m. to get their coffee and, you know, just a redneck town. Confederate flags and all. Help me.
This
But
is in the Midwest or is it the South?
see, that's the funny thing is
I don't even know.
it's in the Midwest, but it
It
thinks
is.
it's in the South.
It does sound like it's in the South, right?
It's got a Southern mentality, but it's Midwestern. Kansans try their hardest to do that Southern accent. It's like, you're not from Mississippi, you damn loser. You're from Kansas. You're a flat voiced Kansan. Goodness, we weren't even a slave state back in the real in the real Confederacy. So
No, yeah, yeah.
Kansas is not Southern, no matter how bad they want to be.
'Cause I have a question about that. Being in old towns and all. I was in a place called Elyria, that's in Ohio, back in I think 2013 and 2006, and I noticed that small towns like that, there's a huge part of the population is made up of old people.
Yes,
Is it like that there?
yes. The small, especially in there's
There you go.
actually a kind of a science behind it. A
Yeah.
lot of the tiny ass towns that nobody cares about. The only
Mhm.
reason these towns exist are because many of the residents have been there for generations and generations,
Right.
and more
They
than
don't.
likely they have a small business. More than likely they have a farm, and especially
Right.
today's generation doesn't
Mhm.
care about farming and all that. I've known of
Right.
many different situations where the youth have taken over the farm and they sell it for money. So that's kind of why a lot of elderly people flock to smaller areas because they've been there their whole life. That's all they know, and that's their land, and
Mhm.
they're gonna die there eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
most
it's
the younger generation usually go to the bigger cities, right?
Let me put
bigger.
it this way: when I went to the Philippines, I was blown away by how many of the little kids are out in the streets working and just fishing, and kids like working, selling Coca Cola out of a bucket, trying to help their families and cooking and not attached to their iPhones. Yeah, the U.S. is a much different place.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were in Cavite and in Metro Manila, so that's totally different. If you went to the provinces, especially in the south, it'd be much more different.
Like, what do
So,
you mean different?
well, we've got really rural areas here,
I've
and
been I've been to Tinambak, Camarines Sur, and Bicol. That's where my father-in-law's from. She went
where?
Tinambak, Camarines Sur. I'm probably
Oh,
saying that wrong.
Camarines Sur. Oh, okay,
And Bicol.
okay, and Bicol as well. Oh, there you go, there you go.
And also, I had my
Mhm.
1 year anniversary at Cagligliog Island.
Nice.
I probably said that wrong.
Can you say that again?
Cagligliog Island. I can
I
speak a
don't.
little Tagalog.
I
It's
don't
a
even know where that is.
it's
I have,
a
Yeah, me too.
it's a 2 hour canoe ride from Tinambak.
Camarines Norte. Camarines
Camarines
Norte,
Sur.
right? Or
And
Sur?
Sur.
and there's a Calico Beach Resort there.
Oh, I'm looking that up
My
actually.
my wife's family scared me because I didn't like I knew they were gonna do something,
Mm.
and I just remember getting on the back of this motorcycle and I asked my wife, I was like, "Where are we going?" I left my wallet at home, and she's like, "No, it's fine, it's fine."
I was
We go to a
surprised.
beach resort, and I'm like, "Gosh, beach resort? We don't got the money for that." It's like
I think
16.
you were referring to Calaguas Island.
I don't know. I think it's
Was it
Kinalasag Island.
I have no
Kinalasag?
idea.
Either of those. As long as
I know it starts with a C,
yeah, yeah.
but
I think it's Calaguas. Kinalasag. All right.
this
Either.
resort was like 16 pesos a person, and I was like, "Holy crap, that's not even a
Yeah.
dollar a person." But then
Yeah.
again,
Every time I have a friend here who's from Western countries, they're always surprised as to how cheap it is, as to how affordable it is to,
yeah,
travel around, and even the vices, alcohol,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
smokes. So I always tell my friends, You save up enough money, come to the Philippines and live here. You're gonna live like a king.
Yes.
I Yeah, I'm hoping that this
Uh-huh.
like with the record label I've got, which is gonna bring into that. Which, by
Mm.
the way, so yes, for those who I know you didn't ask me this, but um,
Well, yeah. Go ahead. I was gonna ask you anyway. Go ahead.
Burning Farm Records has been abolished because it's
Really?
my first label is called Indie Product, and
Okay.
so the reason no, don't worry, I'm still doing the label. It's just
Okay.
Burning Farm Records is Kansas themed. It's at
Uh,
Aspa. And I'm in Illinois now, and for one, it doesn't really match what I'm doing here, and especially in the Philippines, it wouldn't work. And
mm,
I won't lie, it's kind of hard to look at. It's hard to be reminded of Kansas because I don't
mm.
ever want to go back there, and I just got sick of looking at the label. I got sick of Burning Farm Records, which it was actually Burning Farm Records was actually named after there's a Japanese punk rock group called Shonen Knife. They have an '83 album called
I
Burning
love
Farm.
them so
So
much.
you know Burning Farm, the '83 album.
I haven't heard of the album yet. I mean, I haven't listened to it yet. Well, I saw them once. They came to the Philippines. I think it was around late 2000s,
Damn
and
nice.
they were so effing good. Like I don't know, like the Ramones, a female
Yeah,
version of
they
the
were
Ramones,
Soccer Ramones.
something like that. Yeah, yeah, they're so awesome.
But yeah,
Hmm.
that's who my Burning Farm
Hmm.
was named after. But
Oh, there you go.
yeah,
And it makes sense too because Kansas has a lot of farms.
yep. And that's
Yes.
You
why
can burn them.
came to when I came to
Uh-huh.
Illinois, I'm in Moline, Illinois, and the Quad Cities up here. I
Hmm.
just I was talking to my best friend, Natalia, I was talking to a few others. I was like, I want to phase out Burning Farm Records, and people thought I meant I was gonna quit. I was like, no, no. In 2010, I formed Indie Product, and I suspended it in 2014 when I moved from California to Kansas again. Because Indie Product, I originally put out over 400 cassette tapes under this label, just
Mm.
noise and punk and garage stuff. I just find random bands in California and Seattle, and I record them or take their demos and just put it out on tape or CD, and it's pretty
Right,
much what it
right.
was for like 3 years, and
Mhm.
I just revived it. Dead Ends Complaints, Legendary Pinoy TRC 03, I think it
Oh my god,
was.
that's awesome.
It will be June 16th is the date of release. So if for anyone listening out
Really?
there, yeah, I got it pressed on CD, remastered by my buddies Zara up in New York City in the
Where are you
studio.
releasing it, though, Kaz?
Um, I think I mean it's gonna be worldwide, but um,
Mm.
I gotta talk to. For those of you who live in the Philippines, contact Noel
Mm.
Punctia of Mutilated Noise to
There
buy it
you
over
go.
there, because I'm not gonna. That's a yeah Noel Punctia of Mutilated Noise. That's my Philippine distribution because
Mhm.
it would honestly be ripping people off in the Philippines if I were to ship the CDs
Yeah.
Mm.
and from the United
It's a bit
States
costly for
Mhm.
shipping.
and from I
Mm.
guess Europe if you want to buy the album. Uh, Discogs. Go over to www.discogs.com. That's where I'm gonna have it listed at because I'm not trusting eBay with this. They take fees.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yeah,
dead
you're you-
end.
you're distributing it through Discogs.com.
Yeah, Discogs. Just type in
Okay,
dead ends
but
complaints on there and you'll find the reissue.
that's gonna be shipped from the U.S. if we order
Yeah, for
through.
right now. Well,
There you
if you're from the Philippines or if you're from that region of the world, I suggest buying
go.
from Mutilated Noise because it'd probably be
Mm. Mm.
cheaper on shipping. I just don't want to end up charging $10 or $50 for a CD and then 30 bucks for shipping. Because that's
Right,
too much.
right.
And also, I believe Vince Dominic over at Cali Vibes Records in California. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be buying some from me and selling them at his store. And I know Rapierto Vaclasan Records was going to, but he just had a baby, so I'm not sure if he's gonna be selling it right now. But there's a
Mm.
few co-op records in Moline, Illinois. I'm gonna sell some to them. Love Garden Sounds in Lawrence, Kansas. I'm gonna sell some to them, and I believe Amoeba Music and Rasputin in California, I'm gonna sell some to them. So there's a handful of record stores across the U.S. that
How
I'm
many
gonna.
how many are you putting out?
Oh, the first wave is 100 CDs pressed, and then after those sell out, I'll make more. But after Dead Ends Complaints, I'm doing Screams from the Underground from Rare Music Distributor in
Mm,
collaboration with Bonk, who owns it. Which, by the way, to all
mm,
those listening, this Dead Ends release is in. It's been approved by Al Demalanta, the Dead Ends. So this, I don't do bootlegs. That's what I wanted to say.
yeah,
Every
sure.
every single album that I released is approved by either the band or the remaining members of the band because I always get permissions from the artist. I'm just saying
Kaz,
that
let's
because there's
talk.
a lot of bootlegs in
Let's
the
talk
Pinoy
about
punk crowd.
how you discover these albums and how you remaster them. But first, let's just read a question here from the comments.
Oh boy.
Our friend Lyndon is asking. This is going back to the Kansas conversation we were having. He's asking if there are still cowboys in Kansas.
I love that person. There's how do I put this? You know how in LA there's want to be gangsters? Well,
Yeah.
there's some genuine cowfolk, I guess. I don't want to say cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
That's cringy. There's some genuine cowfolk, but most of it's
Mm-hmm.
just yeah, and those the people who generally run the farmlands. I could consider them cowfolk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But
We're
like
still,
if you mean like where I live, no, they're just uh sissies wearing cowboy hats and they're rednecks. They're not.
I,
They couldn't. They're on their little Snapchat and their Instagram. They couldn't last a day in the farm.
I guess the generic description of a cowboy is basically a man with a on a horse with a cowboy hat and then with a whip and then with a rope and with a gun, probably something like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah,
right?
that's in a Clint Eastwood film, but not in Kansas.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I
But
what I'm
you know,
considering as
we got
cowboys
lost
is
now.
farm workers.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So that's I hope that answers your question, Lyndon. If you guys have any questions for Kaz, just put it below the comments here. We are interviewing. This is Rob Ikiza and Franz EP.
That's how you say your name.
Or yeah, it's Ikiza rather. So,
I'm gonna call you
and
Akaza.
did you say yeah, Equiza? Maybe in Spain or other Spanish-speaking countries they would say Equiza because it's sort of like equalize, but I'm not sure.
That's hard to
Yeah,
say.
yeah. So we're speaking with Anarka Akaza.
Yeah, boy.
He is a music journalist, also a record label owner, as well as a noise experimental artist. There you go.
Or as Jim calls it, a sonic terrorist.
Sonic Terror.
Sonic
There you
terrorist.
I
go.
take that.
It's pretty cool sounding.
That's the
Sonic.
first time I've ever called myself a terrorist on.
So,
I just
so
realized
you're
we're on
not
radio.
you're not going to be able to visit the Philippines anytime soon.
Shit.
I apologize. Just kidding.
Hi, Duterte.
What's
Like,
up, dudes?
it's like he responds like, "Oh God, they are spying on us."
I'm writing your name down
It's
right
like,
now.
it's like write it down on the VIP list so I don't have to
Yeah.
pay to come over.
So we were talking. We spoke for like an hour before the three of us.
Yeah, I remember
Jim,
that.
you and I, right? And you were talking extensively about how you discovered these bands, these Pinoy punk bands, and how you search for their old albums, even
Oh
the
yes,
oldest version of a cassette, and then you remaster it. You got a guy somewhere there. So
yeah.
tell us about the process there, how it all started, and what you what you do, your best practices now, basically.
All right, so it kind of dates back to 2018 when I moved there because when I first went there in 2017, I knew nothing about the country, and to be honest,
Mm,
I didn't have a plan on living there in 2017. I was going to bring my wife to the U.S., but
mm,
I did get an scene record in 2017 though, their
mm,
'84 cover album. But anyway, So in
Mm.
2018, when I realized I was going to end up moving there for a year, I was like, all right. So I'm into punk and noise. Philippines, what do you have? I went on Google. I remember this was not even a week before I left. I'm on
Mm.
Google and I type in Philippine punk rock and Urban Bandits come up, Dead Ends, Philippine Violators. Gee, I was like, okay, these guys got something going on. The
Just the
first
red.
Philippine punk rock song I ever listened to is Manila Girl by the Urban Bandits, and I'm just like,
Mm.
holy crap, this is some doo-wop fused with punk. And I went on eBay and I couldn't find the record on there. I was like, oh boy. So this is one of those situations where it's hard to find. So I
Uh-huh.
remember I flew to the Philippines and I asked my wife, and she had no idea about it. Like, she knew nothing about it. And I was like, okay. I started asking her. I went to a couple of music stores like Astro Plus and the Mega Mall, and I was like, wait, this is punk. It's not going to be in this place. So I went to Sabao Expo. They had no idea who it was, and it was in middle of July where
Mm.
I found a blog spot that had a topic about a Middle Finger Records in the Nocturnal Mall or the Cardamar Shopping Center in Recto, Manila. So
Right.
Yes, in Fredmore.
On
Yeah, I love
Visa Day in July 2018, and I'll never forget this. It took me 7 hours to find Middle Finger Records because nobody knew what it was, and I asked so many security guards, tricyclists, "Where's Middle Finger Records?" Because all I had was a picture of the damn place from a blog spot and Recto Manila Cardamar Shopping Center. I
Mm-hmm.
finally got on a tricycle list, and he took me to where he thought it was. No, he took me to the completely wrong place, and it made my walk even longer. And he also charged me like 800 pesos for a simple ride, which I'm gonna be
Oh,
better about that when I return people. Yeah, you're not. Oh, that's a whole nother interview right there on tricyclists. But anyway, so
mm.
I found the Cardamar Shopping Center, and I shit you not, I got there at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and my wife
Mm.
and I finally found Middle Finger Records. We ran
Mm.
by it a million times, but I finally saw it right there. They were about to close. I was like, can I please check this place out? I've been searching for this place since 10 a.m. I've been lost. And she said, yes, yeah, go ahead, sir. So I walked in there, and on the shelf, Urban Bandits Independence Day vinyl. Giant idiots. There it is. IOV. I was like, holy hell. I found the Holy Grail. Here it is. Philippine punk. So I just slapped them on the shelf. Urban Bandits, GI, Fatal Response, Bad Omen. I was like, I spent a lot
These
of
were on
money that.
vinyl too, right?
Yeah, these are all vinyl. So that's how I found the original, the reissues, I guess, on vinyl.
Mm.
Now,
Mm.
those really don't have much to do with my record label. I just wanted to say that. So
Mm.
how I started the record label is a different story. Arnold
Mm.
Morales, everybody knows who he is. I met him in person in literally a week before I left the Philippines, and I asked him, I was like, hey, so does he sign my Urban Bandits vinyl and my Putre Ska tape that Noel Puncture Mutilated Noise gave to me because he's like a brother to me? And I asked Arnold, I was like, so do you have any copies of your original cassette? He's like, no, no, no. So between him, Al Demolanta, June Idiot, Betrayed, the Phil Vios, all of these bands, Private Stock, all of these bands, I've interviewed them all, and
Mm.
when I'm told by countless Pinoy punk veterans, no, we don't have any of our tapes, I was like, what the hell?
That's very common.
So,
Yes,
like, I
yes.
was like, how do you not have your music? That's insane. So
Mm.
I'm like, okay, well, hey Arnold, I've got a I've got a pretty high resolution rip of your tape. Can
Mm.
I reissue it? Yeah, sure. And pretty much what I do is when I was in Kansas, and still to this day, because I got over 50 Pinoy tapes, I've got a bunch of CDs and such. I find out, like, I try to seek out the rare tapes, or it can be a reissue, I don't care, but original's kind of better because, especially with
Mm.
rescanning artwork. But
Sure.
pretty much what I do is I seek these tapes out. I sometimes have to invest quite a hard dollar into it, like Screams
Mm.
from the Underground, which is going to be my next release. It'll be in late June. Paid $50 for the first tape, $50 for the second tape. I
Mm.
just seek out these tapes. I kind of call investments. I seek them out in as high near mint condition as possible so that I can digitize them and preserve them online, so that I upload them to my Anti Patriot 009 YouTube channel so fans
Mhm.
can enjoy this music. And then after that, like let's say if I'm not friends with the band, I contact the band and say, hey, your tape, it hasn't been issued in 20 to 30 years. I'll pay for it. Can I please reissue this? And generally, most of the time, it's a yes. I mean, I've had a few bands say, no, we want to do it ourselves, which, hey, I totally
Oh,
respect that.
sure.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But yeah, I seek out these rare tapes that are just, for one, I want the band, I want Arnold, I want Jude and all that. I want them to have their own music. That's just necessary. You put the music out, you should have it. But, and also, I mean, it's TRC RMD. That's the inception of Pinoy Punk. That stuff needs to be, flourished and shared and kept alive, and
Mhm.
that's just why I do it. I mean, there's no reason that private sellers should be selling these old tapes for, $100, $200 a piece.
Where do you seek them out? I mean, these tapes.
Discogs,
This
Facebook,
cost. Oh,
eBay.
there you go. There you
Those
go.
are my main three. A lot of
Mhm.
it's been Facebook though, private sellers, which is what I was just getting at there. I
Mhm.
am no, I know people, gotta make a living, but when you like, for instance, I've paid $50+ for a single cassette tape. That's
Wow.
I hate it when I mean, I do it for an investment purposes, but like, I want to, like, dead ends, for instance. I'm gonna make so many that these
Mhm.
CDs will not be $50. If
Right.
they run out, I'm making more. I'm gonna keep making more of them so that fans from all over can enjoy this music without breaking their bank over it.
Well, not just fans, not just existing fans, but to
Yeah, and,
introduce
and new fans
new
To
too.
introduce,
new
yeah.
generations, right?
I'm not just
And
gonna limit it to 100
yeah.
tapes. I want everyone. Dead
Mhm.
Ends, Urban Bandits, GI. It needs to be
Yeah.
accessible so that fans of all ages can listen
Mhm.
to it without breaking their bank. That's the biggest reason I'm doing this.
So let's. I'm gonna ask you a question about
Yay!
the. You're still not used to being on the other end of the interview, right? Wait, we got a question
I'm
here.
gonna rewatch and love this so much.
Lyndon again from the band Camiosa. He's asking if you're a Filipino. Lyndon, Anarka Akaza is an American. But
um, I'm a
what is
half
it with your name?
huh?
Half what?
I was
I'm
saying
sorry. Go ahead.
I'm half British, half German, but yeah, I'm American.
There you
America.
go. So, and that explains your name.
So Anarka Kaza, oh boy, if I actually get asked this quite often. So okay, so
Friends,
do you want the full truth or the short truth?
it's up to you, man.
I'll just say
You
how it
got time.
is. So back in the early 2000s in the United States, which I don't know if it was a thing overseas, but do you remember a service called Napster?
Sure, sure.
Ah,
So
yeah.
not
Yeah.
Napster. I didn't name myself after that one because that one died in
Hmm.
a fire. There was
Okay.
another piracy service that
Hmm.
also died in a fire in 2004. It's
Hmm.
called Kazaa, and so that's important. I'm just gonna leave that there. Anarka, the first part of my name.
Is
Years
Anarchy?
ago in California in 2013, I was known as Anarcho Kid because I was a
Okay.
17, 16-year-old, 18-year-old kid.
Uh
They,
huh.
they used to call me Anarcho Kid all the time.
Okay.
Later on, though, there's an English anarcho punk
Well,
rock. Huh?
I'm gonna stop you there just for a bit. You were called a narco kid.
Yes.
Were you a nerd or a geek or some sort?
No, I don't remember how the frick that name. Well, no, because they had a name for me even before that, which
Okay.
it was called. They called me 1202.
I don't even know what that means.
1202.
What's a 1202?
So in 2012, remember how the world was supposed to end, the Mayan calendar?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
1202 is uh, what's it called? Not an acronym. Uh, what's the word for letters jumbled up? You know,
Anagram.
yeah, 1202
Mm.
is an anagram of 2012. It's just the doomsday, just kind of that sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
That's what they called me back then, and then it went from 1202 to Anarcho Kid. Oh no, it's because afterward I got deeply into anarcho punk, and so
Okay.
that's kind of where that came from. Because like I formed my indie product in 2010 2011, and indie
Mm.
product. So Crass from England has a song called End Result, which is the
Mm.
name of my parent company that I formed. Indie product with a K, it's German for productions or results, so indie result,
Right,
indie
right.
product.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
that's just the anarcho punk thing that,
Mm.
I mean, I'm still into it, but I used to like Andy T, Crass, Poisonous, uh,
Mm.
Theoretical Girls, Anarka. So, you asked about Anarka.
Mm.
Anarka is, there's an English punk rock anarcho group called Anarka and Poppy. They formed
Mm.
in the late 70s as Nihilistic Insurrection, which is
Mm-hmm.
also where the name Nihilistic Endorphins came from, but that's another topic.
I figured. Okay.
But anyway, so
Uh-huh.
I just love their music so much that I kind of just in 20 what the freak year
Mm.
was it? 2015. I got tired of being called a narco kid because I was like 20 years old, and I was like, okay, this is enough of this shit. I'm not in California anymore. So I was like, anarcho. I was trying to think of another name. I was like, I don't like this stupid ass name. I was like, Anarka. I kind of like that. It's kind of feminine, but you know what? It's kind of better than being called kid. So
Right.
I took Anarka,
Yeah.
and then there was this anime I used to watch back then. It's called
Oh,
Yuru.
the weevil in you.
This is the part that I'm only. This is the only interview I'm ever gonna say this on. So yeah,
Mm.
there's an anime I used to watch called Yuru Yuri. Don't
Okay.
look it up.
No,
No
I'm not.
one, Lyndon, if you're in the chat, don't you dare look it up. You know he's doing it now. He's looking that shit up like, oh no, I'm gonna do it. Damn it. There's a character from the show called Akari Akaza,
Oh.
and
Okay.
I liked her as a character because she's really sweet, really quiet in the back of the room.
Mm.
The whole point, her whole entire point in this show is that she's unnoticed, and that's kind of
Mm.
how I was in Kansas, and I grew up unnoticed, kid in the back of the room, don't socialize much,
Mm.
and I liked her last name, Akaza, and I was like,
Mm.
Anarka Akaza, that actually goes together, okay. And so I kind of just glued the two together. And also, Kaza from the piracy service,
Right.
kind of,
Mm.
punk not profit. It just kind of goes into the anarcho punk thing. So,
There
yeah,
you go.
I bet you didn't expect that whole backstory on that, did you?
Pretty interesting name right there, actually. I always thought that's your real name. Zaltar, yeah, Zaltar, a friend of ours here from a band called Frolic Night. His name's Zaltar. He's saying that he used Kaza before when he was
Go!
younger.
Oh my goodness. Did your computer survive? You want to know
I only
something?
know, I know LimeWire was the
Yes, LimeWire.
Use SoulSeek QT. That's what I use today.
I remember Soulseek too.
But a little funny note is, so you said you thought Anarka Kaza was my real name. Well,
Mhm.
I hate my birth, which these days I don't care anymore because I'm 26. But when I was younger, I
Uh,
hated my birth name, which I'm not gonna say on here. And
no, no.
oh
I'm guessing it really is American sounding, is it?
yeah, it's
There you
straight out of. Pardon my
go. Like,
French. It's straight out of effing 90210. My mother was obsessed with that show, and that's why I'm not saying it on here because I'll be whiter than the Columbine kids at that point.
well, they say that you'll have to rename yourself at some point. I mean, lots of great writers and artists actually renamed themselves, and
And
they've had that rebirth, sort of, right? I mean,
and
my name is 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 not actually Ikiza. It's just my middle name, but I adopted it because it
I
sounds
dig
different.
that. I
Yeah,
almost legally changed my name to Anarka Casa 2016, but I didn't do it
like
because
legally.
Yeah, I
No.
almost legally did it, but I backed out of that idea because I was like, I'm gonna regret this in 10 years. Yeah, I'm like, I actually had the paperwork and I was in the middle of
Uh-huh.
filling it out. I was like, stop it. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna regret this shit in 10 years. Not even 10. I'm gonna regret this in 5 years. I'm gonna regret this in the morning. Yeah,
You
I
weren't
just,
drunk even.
huh?
You weren't even drunk too.
No, I was
Good time.
sober. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just say this is a stage name. Jello Biafra isn't even legally that, so
Yeah.
just gonna. I mean, in person, when I that's gonna be another weird ass thing for me is when I get to the Philippines,
Mm.
everybody's gonna call me Anarka. Close friends
Yeah.
are, and here in the U.S., people do not call me. My best friend here calls me Anarka because she's mean to me,
Uh-huh.
but
Mhm.
everyone calls me by my birth. Which says I don't give when I go somewhere in the U.S. I
Mhm.
don't say hi, I'm Anarka. I don't say that. I just use my birth name because Americans don't really like in the Philippines, your jeepneys are like rainbows and different colors, and your houses, everything is so
Yeah.
colorful over there. In the U.S., it's black and white and chrome. Like
Yes.
Americans don't really have a sort of, you
Kind of
know,
dull,
yeah,
right?
Americans don't have the whole create. Oh, Anarka, that's cool. No, they wouldn't do that. That's
Mm.
if you're 16 or 17, you can give your nickname out. But when you're 26 in this country, shape up,
Mhm.
grow up, and shut up. That's pretty much the mentality.
Yeah, well, it's the industrial,
Because America
structure
have no style.
that's strong right there. Yeah, but I guess there's a lot more freedom in certain cultures compared to
You
other
know what's
cultures.
some strange shit that I learned,
Mhm.
and I
Mhm.
mean it doesn't matter because I'm never doing it, but I
Yeah,
learned after I was married that divorce is illegal in the Philippines. I mean, I
it
don't
is.
really care because
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
never leaving my wife, but
Yeah,
I heard that I was like, what the hell?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. We're
What's that mean for like some? Let's say a woman or a man is being abused. Like, how do are they just stuck with them?
well,
Oh, well, we
there's
do have an annulment.
yeah,
Oh,
that's one option. That's one option, but there's also separation,
Oh, yeah.
separation.
legal separation. Like um, the state wouldn't get involved, but they can separate, and it's just we're even.
But doesn't
Similar.
she still keep his last name or vice versa?
Well, the last name they don't really care. Legally, yeah, she'll have to, but now it's legal to get married for a woman and not change her last name here. So
Yes.
Well,
that's
that's
another
kind of
option.
wise. I mean, I'm not advocating for divorce. I'm just saying, like,
Mhm.
if a woman or a man get abused by their partner and couldn't get a divorce,
Mhm.
separated, but that keeping that last name would just be adding salt to the wound, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Because
it's anyway.
it's a
Yeah.
constant
My
memory.
my parents got annulled just recently.
I'm sorry
It
to
took
hear
like
that.
a couple of years. No, it's a relief
Mm.
actually for both of them, even for us, the kids. But it took a couple of years, but it was pretty easy. Um, I don't think there's a lot of processes there, except if the one at least one party is kind of conflicted. But yeah, you got
Yeah,
that option,
my
annulment.
parents
Mm.
were married 6 months. They
Oh,
literally just got married because my mom
uh,
got pregnant,
oh, okay.
and it's a
Well,
huge
there you
reason.
go.
And
Uh-huh.
no, I'll say I don't care.
Yeah,
And
go ahead.
if I hope they hear this, my
Yeah,
you know Eminem the rapper.
of course, love him.
A
Yeah.
big reason I'm into his music is because of his music about his father. My dad was never there for me. I've never had a father in my life other than my grandfather, but he passed away in 2016. Rest in peace to him. But Eminem's music with his father, regarding his father, is just
Mm.
that's like a bible right there.
Is it on the Slim Shady EP?
Huh?
Well, from which album is
Oh, my favorite. God, there's so many. Cleaning out my closet. Father's
Oh,
Day,
this
like
is
Ah,
just
the
yes.
Eminem show.
just
Yeah,
whenever Eminem vents about his father, because
yeah.
like him, my father abandoned me at an early age, and so I
Mm,
just relate to that.
mm.
I really wish I
Mm.
could interview Eminem one day. It'd be cool.
Never know. You never know.
That's kind of out of my league there.
But we never know, right? I mean, it's you're like in your mid twenties now.
26, yes.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, lots of opportunities in the near future. But let's talk about your love for punk rock,
Hell
Kaz.
yeah.
Can you compare the punk rock that you have in the Western
Oh boy.
countries? I mean, I know that you're not limited to the punk rock of the U.S.,
Hmm.
but as well as the proto punk of course, Europe. So compare those to the punk rock of the
I
Philippines,
knew this was coming.
and what do you love about the punk rock of the Philippines? What do you
Well,
see? What do you see behind these types of music that we came out with back in the early '80s?
so yeah, I saw this question coming for a while. Alrighty, so
By the way, right?
I American hardcore is my first genre of punk rock. I mean that just makes sense. Black Flag,
Mhm.
DOA, which DOA is Canadian, but for the sake of this,
Yeah, it's some America, still America.
Propaganda and
Yeah.
DOA are two different
America.
bands.
Yeah.
Canada, you're
Okay.
American now, and now they're gonna kill me. Yeah, they don't want nothing to do with that. But
They
anyway,
don't want
so
to talk about.
American hardcore is kind of blended into three different sections: East Coast,
Mm,
Midwest, and LA, or
mm,
West Coast. I didn't do LA Uber Alice joke, did I? Um,
yeah.
so let's see. East Coast 80s is more obliteration hardcore with a very substantive meaning to it. Like more
Mm,
progressive screaming for change, uniform choice, Descendants, the Freeze. I mean, that's kind of Boston. A lot of East Coast is just really fast, really hardcore with a substantive meaning. A lot of West Coast in this country, which I
mm,
kind of do drag myself towards it more. It's more rock the boat. You know, Dead Kennedys and their song "Pull My
mm,
Strings."
mm,
West Coast like Black Flag, TSOL, the Vandals, Bad Religion, Circle Jerks, shit like that. Bands
mm,
that I mean, Circle Jerks they're politically charged, but just West Coast I feel is just more offensive, more we're gonna piss you off because you're a coward or you're a pussy. You know. I mean, Bad Religion's Crossbuster Loco, but to compare it all though, to compare it nation by nation, England. I don't really listen to a lot of English punk rock as much as I used to, but of all the English punk bands,
mm,
GBH, uh, Subhumans UK, because they're
mm,
nihilistic, hardcore, politically charged. Dick Lucas wrote From the Cradle to the Grave and The Day the Country Died, which are two of the greatest punk rock albums of
mm,
all time.
Uh-huh.
Varukas are decent. I don't know, I mean, I feel like a lot of the punk rock in the UK just I don't know. I'm not really into British punk that much. I love GBH
mm,
and Church of the Truly Warped, that album, and City Baby Attacked by Rats.
mm,
I just kind of relate to American punk rock more, but Germany, though, goodness, they have a rather acquisite scene. Acquisite. What the hell did I acquisite? Acquisite.
exquisite.
That too.
Exquisite.
There's
Is
a
it?
the I don't know a bunch of German punk
Mm,
bands, but there's
mm,
Obwarts, which I recommend everyone to go listen to Obwarts and their 1980 record Computer Stat, because that
mm,
is a lot of German punk rock music has been fused with what's it called? You know the Screamers and their little synth punk. A lot of
definitely, I can't say I
a
am.
lot of German punk rock from the 80s to now have blended. It's like American punk rock hated new wave. If you're new wave, you're a poser. You're a bitch. You know that's what American punks hated. Germany has kind of fused that together. There's Abwarts, there's the
Oh,
Nichts. Today I know a Berdigang, the Serum 114, so forth.
punk with synths.
Yeah, a lot of
Mhm.
German punk rock bands.
That
If
Oh,
That's
Kraftwerk,
interesting.
they're big.
Kraftwerk. Yeah, of
They're
course.
bigger, but
Mhm.
they a lot of
Mm,
German punk rock bands have done that
mm,
with keyboard, and they
mm.
kind of have their own little scene going on over there. A lot of very, which makes sense. A lot of German punk is a lot more politically charged and anti-Nazi for obvious reasons. Adolf Hitler,
Mhm.
but
Mm-hmm.
it's German punk's a little more serious. And then to compare, and then I'll just throw Japan in this since I lived there for 6 months.
Mm.
Japanese punk rock in the early days in the 80s was really pissed off and aggressive. And I've told Arnold Morales this in my interview with him.
Is it I mean, politically charged as well as
Uh,
compared to noxious ones?
a lot of the Japanese punk isn't really politically charged; it's socially
Yeah.
charged because, as you know,
Mm.
friends, are you Filipino as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know how Asia's got. I'm gonna just throw a stereotype out there. Sorry if this offends anyone.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah, go
how
ahead.
Asia's quote
Go ahead.
unquote the obedient culture, obey the mother,
Mm-hmm.
the father. You can't.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Japan doesn't really charge against the government as much as like, you know, a lot of those bands tackle social issues like Japan. You have to, you know, their ethnic ways. Like, have you played the Persona series at all? It's
Not me.
uh,
Mm.
Ah, yes, Persona.
There you
a lot of Japanese punk rock bands tend to
go.
just tackle social topics of society, like
Mm.
condemning, for instance, school uniforms. Your school uniform is your pride. If you don't have your uniform on, then you're a waste of oxygen.
Mm.
They would tend to protest that or just social
Mm.
norms more
There
than
you go.
Mhm.
politics because let's face it, other than the
Mm-hmm.
fact that Shinzo Abe is kind of a nutcase, Japan really doesn't have a serious problem, with government. They really don't. I mean, they're the world leader in technology, and hell, I'm pretty sure they're richer than the U.S. right now.
And I can't even see how I can be an activist if I'm in Japan.
Like,
You're
there's
in
It,
not really. I
Japan.
mean, I don't know everything about the country, but from what I see, they're a pretty happy country with not much to bitch about. The
yeah.
Philippines. Now
Mm.
let's get to the Philippines.
Okay, let's go.
I see the Philippines like, for instance, RDA, IOV, Urban Bandits, all
Mm.
across the top there. That's East Coast American hardcore. That's not trying to be offensive like the West Coast, but substantive and full
Mm.
of. I mean, hell, this is 1984 through 89. Ferdinand
Mm.
Marcos, the vicious dictator who slaughtered over 150,000 people in martial law for 21 years. They had that to riot against. They had
Mm-hmm.
some serious shit going on to riot against. These earliest bands, they were
Mm-hmm.
middle finger in the air. Marcos, we're not gonna take this anymore. This martial law stuff, which I know some of it came out after that, but it's still 21
Mm-hmm.
years of martial law.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't just die overnight. I mean, the EDSA '86 revolution, they kicked his ass out. Thank you,
Mm.
Ronald Reagan, for bringing him to Hawaii, where he lived the rest of his life in peace and happiness.
Hello, anti-commie.
But yeah, Philippine punk.
Mm-hmm.
I very politically charged, full of substance and meaning. I can't think of a
There you go.
Philippine punk rock band who just does it just to do it. Like, there's no Green Day in the Philippines. There's no Blink 182 in the Philippines. There's no.
Well, at the time, yeah, at that time,
I
I
can't
mean,
really
if you,
think of. I can't really think of a punk rock band in the Philippines that's just bullshit.
um, no, I'm just not saying about that now. But talking about that though, that was a decade. I mean, at least an era of very fertile ground for artists. This is like what our friend said from the Balls Breakers, right, friends? Like
Yes.
uh, it is similar to what's happening today. That air of resistance. So they had a lot of material to
Yeah.
use, right? And if you didn't
Yeah.
use that, then you're just gonna
You're just
be
a
wasting.
spectator. You're just
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
So,
honestly most familiar with Pinoy punk from the '80s and then
mhm,
kind of the 2000s and now. which
Mhm.
I don't know. I've noticed a bit of a jump in Pinoy punk. Like the
Mhm.
'80s is very just obliteration, and then
Raw.
the '90s is kind of flying into. We're gonna
Mhm.
polish it up a little bit. We're gonna try to get it
Woo!
radio friendly a
Yeah.
little bit. Like some of the bands
Mhm.
got the raw touch, like some of the shit
Mhm.
on RMD. But I guess
Mhm.
I could say it did calm down in the '90s. Because I mean, Dead Ends had released "Mama the Song Guy," which is pissed off.
Mhm.
You got drastic. You got fuck. Who is it? Drastic Action, Combatants of Anarchy. That album's pretty hard. Pagan
Mhm.
Fire. They started in the late '90s. Uh, you got several bands who still have that raw hardcore obliteration touch, but it's
It's
starting to kind of
still.
honestly go metal a little bit crossover.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Most of the hardcore punk that we have
Deceased.
here, especially in the underground, it's they're more into the metal side of the sound as
Yeah,
opposed
Yes.
to the
Deceased
punk.
is probably the best example of that.
Diseased, and there's also this one band, I forgot the name. I think it's Resurrected, but they're really
Yeah, I've
into
heard of them.
metal. Yeah, there's still a lot of great punk bands underground here. Matter of fact, there's a whole community here in the East where we live, and when you come over to the Philippines, I'm I'm gonna
Hell yeah,
I'm gonna let you live for a week here at least.
that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
I, I, I will say my only
Mhm.
criticism of the Pinoy punk is, and it's not any band in particular, but
Mhm.
there's this kind of wave. I see it late '90s, early 2000s esque, like in the not the 2010s, but the 2000s. This
Mhm.
kind of wave. When I said there's no Blink 182 bands, there's a
Mhm.
few bands that I've heard that do melodic punk, like Descendants, Bad Religion, No Effects, Vandals, but they kind of do it in a sour way that doesn't really keep me uh,
Yeah.
exercised or entertained by it. Like,
Mhm.
um, oh, what's that? What's that band's name? I don't want to hurt any feelings, but like, there's a band called Gut Reaction, and they have a song called "My Punk Rock Heroes." I dig the meaning of the song, but it's some of the riffs in some of these bands go a little bit in the poppy direction, which it's
Mhm.
okay to do that. That's honestly how
Mhm.
you get new people involved, but
Right.
I see some of the bands like went from metal to kind of a melodic poppy punk rock sort of thing. They didn't like go completely Blink 182, but I've noticed like since like 2006 and like to now, I feel most of the Pinoy punk is becoming more political, more socially charged, and I mean look what's happening in your country. I don't want to just name drop the TB, what's going on, but
I'm, Yeah,
tuberculosis.
have you done your research from the
Oh
last
yeah,
time we talked the other night? There you go.
I've done my research on the tuberculosis that the government is having an issue with. I'm not gonna. I don't want to get your thing taken down, but
But what I'm going to say about that is that it's not just in the Philippines. I think it's a worldwide thing. Lots of
I agree.
leaders right now are kind of taking advantage of the situation of the pandemic.
Corona,
They're
Corona.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, there you go. So I think for me, in the music scene, at least in the mainstream world of music, I think that rawness is gonna come back
Oh, it
uh,
is.
soon, pretty soon,
Because the
and
thing
I'm
is, oh, go ahead.
very
Sorry.
excited.
Yeah,
No, go ahead.
it's honestly, Jim was actually free the other day when I had you message Jim. He was like panicking
Mhm.
hardcore over the tuberculosis. I'm gonna just call it that.
Yeah,
It's the same
yeah.
damn thing.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
yeah, he was complaining about that. He was worried. He's like, are they gonna take me and this? I'm like, no, stop it. He's like, well, I wrote political lyrics. I was like, Jim, I love you to death, but I'm gonna be brutally honest with you.
Uh-huh.
You are the least of their concerns. Oh boy, you wrote a politically charged poem. Yeah, you're not going to Auschwitz or Bergen-Belsen. I'm like, he's like, well, I'm worried about my family. I was like, dude, there's no reason to worry about your family. They're not coming after you. You know who they're gonna go after? People who are relevant, such as like, let's say, and well, I don't want to name drop, but
Journalists.
yeah, in bands
Yeah,
that are big, such as like
yeah.
the legends who still play. I'm
Ben and Ben.
not fucking, I'm not name dropping no one because I don't do that. But yeah, I was trying to calm him
Mhm.
down, and I was like, the
Yeah,
TB, the tuberculosis, is actually similar to the Patriot Act here in the U.S. It really is
yeah.
because the
Mm.
Patriot Act signed into law by George W. Bush after the September 11 terrorist attacks in 2001.
Mm.
The bill is just it's to allow the Department of Homeland Security to protect us all by spying on us by, oh, you're a T word that I'm not going to say on here. You're this because you oppose our ideas. We're going to watch you. We're going to read who that email that. We're going to read that. We're going to wiretap your phone. Yeah, it's just the same thing, only I'm going to say that your guys' Philippine situation, I will say, is probably worse than the U.S. situation because we have a Second Amendment right over here.
Right.
I will
Mhm.
say this, and I'll say this to any Filipino watching this. EDSA 86 happened. Suppose it could happen again. That's why when everybody in the U.S., like I have loved ones over here, they're like, "You're not really going back there, are you?" Yes, I am going back there. Of course I am. But their president's a little more harsher than Trump. He actually has power. I believe in the Filipino people. EDSA
Good for you.
86. Yeah, EDSA 86 happened once, and suppose it could happen again if it needs to happen.
I mean, it's really uplifting that that coming from you, an American who believes in
Yeah, I
the
mean,
people.
y'all have.
But,
Let's
yeah.
see. Your country was founded by Fred. What the hell's that guy's name? I just forgot your first president's name. Just like that, Emilio. You know, he went against the Spanish rulers back in the day with the KKK. I can't pronounce the
It wasn't really
entire.
him though. Historically speaking, it was Andres Bonifacio who really led. It was because of
The revolutionaries.
the politics that Emilio was the one hailed as the
Uh,
president, first president, but it was Andres Bonifacio.
but another KKK, which tell the audience
Mhm.
what that stands for any Americans watching this, because I don't know the Ku Klux Klan.
And not the Ku Klux Klan of America, but KKK is Tagang. Friends, help me out here, man.
They were a revolutionary group that fought against the Spanish
Yeah.
in the colonial days. That's what we'll say. Not
Yeah.
the Klan. They don't wear white hoods, but they fought against the Spanish, and then America
Mhm.
stepped in with Theodore Roosevelt and helped the Philippines gain its independence.
Hmm.
So they thought until the U.S. backstabbed the Philippines and took the country over until the
Hmm.
Japanese
Yeah.
came up and said, "Hey, we're gonna take over now." The Japanese took over Cebu and worked their way up, and the U.S. kicked them out. MacArthur
Hmm.
did, and the Philippines has
Yeah.
been a somewhat independent nation ever since until China decides to come over and take over. I'm not gonna say that too
Yeah.
loudly.
Mhm.
I'm just saying your country has been through some roughness in its existence, even before the Spanish colonization, the
Well, it's
tribal
pretty ironic
lands.
for me because I guess a lot of Filipinos would also agree with me when I say that we were able to overthrow um, foreigners from other lands, but
Mhm.
now it's it's a Filipino who's kind of um,
Fighting with each other,
yeah,
basically.
I mean,
yeah. So it's
Dead Ends has a song called Damnation, which is literally about that.
hmm
Well, I mean, it's a global thing at this point. The newer generations of like, yeah, it's 86. There were riots all over in the 80s. People didn't take shit back then, and today the level of complacency is so high up. It's like, oh, we're about to lose our freedoms. Woohoo! Give me a beer.
I remember. Do you like Star Wars, Kaz?
Yeah, actually, on my way to the true story here, in
Yeah,
2017, on my way to the Philippines, I watched all 7 episodes for the first time ever.
you did. There you go. Oh, 7 episodes because the rise of oh no, the return of the Jedi was no. What was the first reboot?
I don't know.
Sort of. Yeah,
Revenge of the
whatever
Sith?
that
The
is. Yeah.
Phantom
No,
Menace?
no. The first one from the last trilogy.
Oh,
Oh, the
9 through 12?
Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens already came out. Is that right?
That
Yeah.
was years ago, but that's the last one I saw.
Yeah, but I just remembered this scene from I think it was from the after the Phantom Menace. It was Attack of the Clones, wherein
Hmm.
Palpatine was given special powers, and then everybody was applauding, and Queen Amidala was seen saying, "So this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause."
Pretty
It's
much.
man, it's crazy.
I
Right.
honestly think Joe Biden's gonna win the presidency over here, which he's not gonna be much better than Trump, but
Yeah, but
weird
it's
world we're
always,
living in.
when it comes to politics, it's always the lesser evil. I'm a huge reader of George Orwell, so
George Orwell.
trust me that
Hmm.
I don't trust politicians at all.
You know, one thing that I had to
Yeah.
deal with in the Philippines, and I'm
Hmm.
not sure if you know this about me, but
Hmm.
I'm not religious. I'm a naturalist, which is
Hmm.
someone who doesn't believe in God, but I believe the universe
Sure.
created everything.
Hmm. Same here.
I did not know when I first went to the Philippines to live there that it was an
Yeah.
86% Catholic country,
Yeah.
Yeah.
extremely religious.
Deeply.
My wife's family are very
Yes.
religious. My wife's not; she's
Mhm.
atheist, thankfully.
Okay.
But what's kind of funny is uh, I can't count how many times a Jehovah. We ended up moving to.
Hmm.
Where were we living? The first place was Familyville subdivision, and then we moved across the street to a Barricade 4, and
Hmm.
I didn't pay attention at the time. If I would have paid attention to this, I probably would have chose a different location. But there was this church across the street. It was Jehovah's Witnesses, and oh my goodness gracious, they would knock on my door early in the morning.
Jehovah's Witness. Is it the Mormon?
No, Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
And I've got nothing against their
Okay.
faith at all, but after the 75th,000th time of me telling them I'm not interested and they keep knocking on my door at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, go away! You know? Hello?
I'm sorry. Cassie, though. Hello.
Did you hear that?
The last thing that you.
Oh, I just said I was harassed by a Jehovah's Witness church.
Yes, I'm.
Can you hear me?
I think it's Kaz.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Sorry.
It's-
My signal must be getting bad or something. Hello?
All right. I'm not here.
Can you hear me, Bo?
Can you feel my presence?
I can
Yeah.
feel this press.
I
Um,
can hear I can hear both of you perfectly fine. It's just cutting out a little bit.
guys, I'm gonna call you right back, and
Alrighty.
then call back. And
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
I think Facebook just
Oh.
decided to take a nosedive. It does that. But no, what I was
Yeah,
saying was
that
just that
sometimes.
we moved next
Mm,
to a Jehovah's Witness church and they were, but after
mhm.
75,000 times of me telling them I wasn't interested, they just 4 a.m. knock, 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 knock. It's like, oh my god, y'all
Oh
be
my god.
respectful as shit. But no, I don't.
4 a.m.
Yeah,
Like four
they
in the.
would come like early,
Oh my.
early, early in the morning, but like, go the fuck away. And my wife was like, "You gotta be respectful." And I was like, "No, they're knocking on my damn door like before the sun's up." It's like, "Go
Yeah. Who
away."
does that? Who does that?
Jehovah's Witnesses, apparently.
Apparently. Oh my god.
Which I'm not trying to be offensive, but just
Yeah.
that shit annoyed me so much.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, they better not do that again when you come back here.
No, they won't.
It's your shit way more than before.
No, because it was my fault because
Mhm.
I never really made it clear that I don't believe in God. Which,
Uh-huh.
okay, I don't ever tell a religious person that. Because when you tell a religious person, I don't believe in God, what do you think
Mhm.
they want to do?
Well,
I
they're
just,
gonna defend
yeah.
them. Mm-hmm.
It's
They
like,
convince you.
yep.
Right.
That's why I don't ever say that to religious people.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's
Mm-hmm.
not that I don't want to talk about it, I just don't want, I don't care for the discussion, you know?
True. True. Same thing, I mean, um, most of my friends and even my family, they are, well, ever since Roman Catholic, but they're more accepting. I don't know. Catholics are more kind of tolerant as compared to born again Christians.
Hmm.
I don't know if you noticed that, but for born again Christians, they're more keen to try to convince you to really join their beliefs. So
Their community, rather.
Bad
their
Religion has
community,
a song called Come Join Us.
come join us. There you go.
Yes. They have
That
that's
really,
a good song.
there you go. All right, so let's ask you a couple more questions before we come to the conclusion of
Already?
our. Yeah,
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
We've been talking for like half an hour now.
Half an
Man,
hour?
I didn't even notice.
We've been talking
So
for an hour and 21 minutes.
is it? All right, there you go. No, no, no. I meant an hour and a half.
Oh, I was gonna
Sorry
say,
about that.
it's been a
Yeah,
lot longer than 30 minutes, buddy. I got a timer right here.
you got your timer.
Yeah, my recording software, it's a.
Oh, right, right, right. You're recording it as well. There you go. Okay, so what do you think about the future of punk rock, Kaz? All over the world.
Well, I say we
Mm-hmm.
got the perfect climax for some sick ass
Okay.
LPs.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like I said, I'm gonna go back to what I said with the Philippines. I think it's in the 2000s, punk rock became kind of a joke with all them joke bands like Blink and Sum 41
Mm-hmm.
and Yellow Card and all them bands that MTV show offs. But
Mm-hmm.
now that that stuff's kind of died away, things are getting a little the current social and political climate of the world doesn't really matter where you are. It's getting worse and worse, and so the if we have a supply demand economy, the supply of the shit is there, so the
Mm-hmm.
demand for more punk is there. So I believe, I mean, I don't want the world to get worse, but there's plenty of things to talk about now, and so I
Right.
think that's good for punk rock music.
Awesome. So this is going to be the near future. This is how you see it for the near future. And what about the evolution of, or are you uh, would you say that you can accept punk to evolve?
Oh yeah, it's been
Yeah.
evolving since the Stooges, man. It's
Well,
been
sure.
evolving since garage rock, and
Mm-hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't really necessarily know what it could do more at this
Mm-hmm.
point because we got grindcore, we have noise terror. It went from
Yeah.
being the Beatles, Help, Stooges, rev that up a little bit, the Ramones sped it up, the New York Dolls,
Mm-hmm.
Dead Kennedys, DOA, Middle Class, Jerry's Kids. Then you got grindcore, black Norwegian black metal. It's getting. I don't necessarily know where it's music. I don't necessarily know how musically it can evolve to something different. Which, okay, when
Mm-hmm.
I say that, I don't really know. I mean, I think in regards to the music changing up, yeah, the only thing I think it can do changing up wise is like fusions. Like you have noise punk, you have
Mm-hmm.
blues punk, cow punk, like different genres of music or might just blend into it to create a different
Right.
offshoot. But that's
Like
pretty
what we
much
were saying about German bands before.
yeah, like the
Mm-hmm.
evolution of punk rock now is probably just going to rely solely on what group of kids or teenagers from what cultural or ethnic backgrounds are going to get together, hear the
Mm,
Ramones, and say, I'm going to add this to it because I like it to sound this way. What? That's pretty
mm,
much what's probably going to happen. I mean, that's how punk, that's how, like, crossover thrash metal happened. A bunch of punk rock kids heard some Metallica and they're like, yo, let's take this raw, stripped down, no BS rock and roll, this raw
mm,
sound and add some metal to it. Let's add some solos. Let's see where that, like
mm,
Black Flag, the first 4 years. I'm about to have a nervous breakdown. My head really hurts. Just a straight up
mm,
raw 2 minutes long to you've heard My War, right? My
mm,
War, you're one of them. Just evolves and because different people of different musical backgrounds heard something else and they added to it. So the future of punk musically, I'd say, just depends on, like I said, what cultural backgrounds find it and
but but
turn.
also
Huh?
I may add, um, people artists have to learn the difference between evolution and
Mm-hmm.
devolution. Like when
Yeah.
you were talking about the watered down punk of 2000s,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
which I would say is not at all different to post grunge, which devolved from grunge. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so yes, you can do some fusions, but you have to make sure that you don't take away the essence of that genre.
Well, let me say this, and I know this is
Mm,
probably gonna butt hurt a bunch of people, but I
so,
blame
shoot
solely
away.
Epitaph Records and Fat Records
There you go.
for that 21st century decline because
Mm,
Fat Records, and I love. Don't get me wrong, I love NoFX, love
mm,
Lagwagon, Anti Flag, Propaganda,
mm,
Banner Pilot. Fuck, who else is there? Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, Leftover Cracks
mm,
on that. Leftover Cracks
mm,
more of a alternative technicals band, but Fat
mm,
Records and Epitaph Records, they both have, well, the most of the biggest melodic punk rock bands in existence are on them labels. Other
well,
than Blink and Green Day, they're not on them labels, but
mhm,
Total Chaos, The Descendants, Rancid, Operation Ivy, that
mm,
polished up, clean cut sound that
mhm,
comes
Mm-hmm.
from Epitaph, that poppy melodic sound with it's you're 16 years old, you live in suburbia, your mom's
mhm,
got a minivan, you're going to
mm.
Pizza Hut after school,
You're from the
yeah, you're going to your Hot Topic, you're gonna get the medium sized jacket that's got the dead Kennedy, no, not dead Kennedy, yeah, it's got a dead Kennedy's patch on the sleeve. There's a big
Yeah.
ass cringy. There's that badass looking Bad Religion symbol on fire. This jacket's like $79.99 because fuck it, your mother works it. Where's your mother work at? She's the mayor. She's the mayor of the town, and she's gonna buy you this because you're gonna be some edge lord. That's the kind of, and I'm not talking shit on this music. I love it, but that's the kind of hot topic Spencer's thing.
mhm.
Green Day, American Idiot. Oh my God, that's
Yes.
the Misfits. Get your skull
Yeah.
shirt. Fuck
There.
you only know
Mm.
like 2 songs by the Misfits, but you're punk rock, so because that's just the kind
Even
of
Black
thing.
Flag, Nirvana.
Yeah,
Really.
Pearl Jam. I did not just
Yeah.
say Pearl Jam. um, the Foo Fighters. That's just Epitaph and Fat. They might not have had all those bands on there, but it created. Okay, there's a documentary on Fat Records called "A Fat Wreck" or something like that,
Mhm.
and a
Okay.
quote in it is, "Fat and Epitaph created what's called the glory days of punk. Punk isn't supposed to have a glory days, and it's because of those glory days of the '90s, of the Offspring, of Blink
Mhm.
182, of Sum 41, of
Yeah.
all the bands that MTV, that mainstream boom of pop punk." From
Mhm.
those labels is what started the just downward spiral into, you know, the whole hot topic punk? When did punk rock become so safe? When did the scene become a joke? Separation of church, escape by no effects. That's just
And
what.
I like that word safe.
Yeah. When did punk rock become so safe? When did the scene
Yeah,
become a
it took
joke?
away the risk, and
Yeah, the kids who used to live for beer and speed now want their fries and coke. Well, Fat
yeah.
Mike, you kind of fucking created that problem with when you signed all them poppy ass bands to Fat Records, and so did you, Brett Gurewitz of Epitaph.
Well,
They,
there's always that part of the era where
oh yeah, there's.
the clean version is on the mainstream, and then
I mean, let me quote
I
Biafra. It was
yeah,
bound to happen.
it was.
Yeah,
Mhm.
since
Hmm.
the Ramones stepped up there, since Iggy, it was
Hmm.
bound to happen. The music was too good.
Oh yeah,
The music
yeah,
was in such a way that it was gonna happen eventually.
yeah. It's just all candy sounding, sort
And
of.
Yes.
today, I
Yeah.
can happily say that it has punk rock has died and it has gone. Well, I don't want to say died, but it has. You don't see punk rock on TV much anymore. It's more
No.
of an
Yes, that's
underground
true.
thing. It's
Yeah.
returned
And
to the. Huh?
mhm.
Go
Yes,
ahead.
well, just going back to the subgenres and crossovers, do you have any type of subgenres or crossovers of punk that you lean to?
Yeah, actually, I mean, I love a straight, raw, hardcore sound like Jerry's Kids, DOA, MDC, but most of the punk that I listen to is noise punk, like Sonic Youth, like the Cellos, like the Melvins, or Psycho Candy sometimes, not so much. But 77 punk, like the Avengers, X, the Germs, kind of that slower punk that I don't know. It just depends on my mood, but yeah, I'd say 77 punk, hardcore punk, and noise punk. Those are my main subgenres.
I
And
actually have a magazine here, which is a British music magazine called, I think it's Q magazine, one of my favorites. The cover is Johnny Rotten,
oh, nice.
and yeah, and
Mhm.
it says 77 Punk, the year of the
Yeah,
77, the
I just
punk.
like the style of it, and oh, also
Yeah.
death rock, death punk, or gothic punk.
Yes.
TSOL, the Freeze, the Necros.
Mhm.
As I do kind of have my darker side. I like darker lyrics. Oh boy, hiccuped. But yeah, yeah, that's a good, good answer to that. Subgenres.
So death to marketing executives.
Pretty much, dinosaurs will die. For being a person who makes fun of NoFX so much, okay, Bad
Mm,
Religion's my all-time favorite band. They've been that way for years. NoFX was my first punk rock band ever,
there you go.
and I was
So,
obsessed with them for over 15 years. And so, yeah, I make fun of them because their music is more aimed at the 16-year demographic. But still, I can
mhm,
reference and quote some NoFX lyrics that'll just change
like
the
your hate drug.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So, when you met, when you were introduced to Sonic Youth, you sort of had a rebirth, and that's where your music comes from.
Yeah, honestly, I'd have to
Right?
say that, like Sonic Youth, and then my second noise rebirth was Melt Banana. Oh my goodness. Have you heard of them before?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Go listen to Melt Banana after this. Just, you have
Mhm.
to. Listen to their album Fetch. But, so, Melt Banana, I have never heard. Like, they're Sonic Youth, but on an extreme noise terror level. And then there's another band that really fucked my world up. They're called
Mhm.
Midori. Melt Banana
Oh,
and
what?
Midori are both from Japan. But
Mm.
Midori took jazz, like hardcore death jazz, like Soil and Pimp Sessions, and infused it with hardcore noise punk. And I'm like, okay, wait, so we have hardcore punk, we have noise, but hardcore noise, and now jazz fusion? Oh my god.
Interesting.
Like,
I mean, friends
this.
and I love jazz, so
Yes.
that's actually very. We're curious now how it would sound.
And
So.
the. And around 2017, 2018, I found
Mhm.
the one other musician who, if it weren't for him, Venetian Snares out of Canada. He's a breakcore artist, but I heard breakcore and I was like, whoa. I mean, I don't give a shit about dubstep. That's too generic. But breakcore, especially chaotic breakcore that just obliterates sound waves. That
Hmm.
and I told Jim this, and I know he's gonna love to hear me finally talk about this. The number one influence for me making music is the Beastie Boys and their album Paul's Boutique. Now, why? I know that album's got nothing to do with noise music. It's because my music is full of samples. I like to just mix up and splice shit together and make my own thing out of it. Paul's
Technically,
Boot
a DJ. Yeah.
Paul's Boutique is
Hmm.
a holy bible of samples. Like, there's a video on YouTube where it shows every single sample and every single song on Paul's Boutique that the Beastie Boys made. The video's like almost an hour long. They this is the only this is like one of the only albums in hip hop history that I can think of that's
Hmm.
built the entire infrastructure of it is other people's music. The Beastie Boys took everyone else's music, all them 45, all them classic records,
Hmm.
just blended them and mended them and spliced them up, altered them and changed them up, put it
Hmm.
together, and then rap over it. It's like there's the way it's built with those samples. I'm like, oh my god, that shit's wild. And so,
It was being done back in the 80s, right? And that's
yeah, but not to the extent of Paul's Boutique. As in,
oh, okay.
pretty
That,
much, I just took that and I was like, okay, well, we have hardcore punk, we have hardcore noise terror, we have
hmm.
jazz fusion, we have blues and noise, we have no wave, which is DNA and all them, and
Hmm.
sampling like this. So I kind of just took all that, I stirred it in a pot, and bam, I have two albums. I mean, that's a short way to put that. I just kind of listen to different things, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stir all this up and see what I can make of it. I know
So,
Jim's gonna watch this whole thing.
so let's ask you for your top five albums of all time, Cass.
Oh my god, you hate
Before
me.
we end this program, yeah.
You hate me so much,
Now,
don't you?
top of
God.
your top of your head.
Top five albums of all time. No, no genre. It's,
Not. Yep. Genre doesn't matter.
bad. I'm gonna just run them off. Bad Religion. How Can Hell Be Any Worse? My number one favorite album of all time. Is Bad Religion is my favorite band of all time.
Okay.
Shit. Okay, now it's getting harder. Uh, TSOL Dance With Me.
Okay.
Sonic Youth. No, fuck. Yeah.
Oh, come on. You're
Ooh,
gonna have a hard time with Sonic Youth
I don't like it. Damn you for this.
then. You saw them with first time with their live concerts. I mean their last concert. So that's gonna be songs from Rather Ripped, I believe.
Okay, no. I'm gonna have to
No.
go with Washing Machine
Okay.
because of the Diamond Sea.
Okay.
Just because of that one song right there. So I'm at three now.
All right.
Okay, this is now shit's ridiculously hard. Oh my god. Beastie Boys Paul's Boutique.
Okay.
Okay, come on, yeah, two. What am I at? Five now? Four.
Yep. You're fifth now.
Oh, I'm literally just scanning everything in my head. I wanna throw Dead Kennedy's Plastic Surgery Disasters on there, but I already put How Can Hell Be Any Worse, and I don't really want to and Dance With Me
No.
because that's like too much hardcore punk there. Because Dance With
Okay.
Me is hardcore punk, but it's more deathly, and that is
Okay.
part of my personality. So yeah, Paul's Boutique definitely on there. Sonic Youth Washing Machine, and
Hmm.
then I'm gonna honestly have to completely jump out of that and go
What?
with. I don't know why I'm looking at my wall right now. It's not helping. Um,
Close your eyes.
to be honest, God. Oh, what the son of a bitch.
What's on your mind? Come on, spit it
I'm
out.
trying to think because I'm kind of tied between
Mhm.
Dead Ends, Complaints, and Private Stock Hype School. Like, those are like, yeah, I'm gonna have to go with either Dead Ends, Complaints, or Private Stock Hype School. And the reason I'm gonna do six. I don't care about your rules.
Okay.
Dead Ends, Complaints, and then
I mean,
Private Stock Hype
we
School. I'm
got
doing
people here who
six.
can't count, so
I'm an American. I don't know how to count. But no, Private Stock Hype's cool because it's punk rock, it's
okay.
rockabilly, it's doo-wop, and
Mhm.
although it's got politically charged parts to it, Private Stock did not obey the rules of punk. They did what they wanted,
Mhm.
and I love that about them. And I'm friends with the band. And Dead End complains because yes, it's punk rock in its rawest form, but I'm a fanboy of Alde Malanta, and I love his voice.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, everybody complains about complaints because it wasn't as like everybody loves Second Coming. I love complaints because neurotic tendencies. That song is my soul. Complains a song. Lies, morons like you. Dreamer. That song is what song you've heard Dreamer, right?
I can't say I have.
I love
I'm
that
listing it
song.
down, I'm gonna have a whole day listening to all these albums you mentioned.
Me too.
But
I also listed
and
That's where
just
that's the
because I
Sonic
want
Youth
to
and
break the
there,
rules even more, just
Uh-huh.
to go 7 to 10 here, because I'm. If you would have told me top 10, I could have easily done this shit. But you're mean to me, and you made me do top 5, so I broke the rules to make top 6. Seven
Yeah,
would
we're
be
harsh like that. Go ahead.
actually no, yeah, 7 would be Germs GI because the Germs broke the rules of punk rock too. Darby did what he wanted, and his vocals are out of this world.
Mhm.
He just growls into that shit. Number 8 would be Melt Banana Fetch, and number 9 would be um, Wasted Youth, Black Days. Not, LA's Wasted Youth did Reagan's and Get Out My Yard, the hardcore punk stuff, but then in the 90s, or no, later on they did Black Days, which is my favorite metal album of all time. And
Mhm.
then number 10, which this is going to be the one that's going to probably kill whoever listens to it if they know me, because they'll be like, oh my god. Sli- um, DRI, Full Speed Ahead. Now, this album, yeah, it's hardcore punk with crossover thrash metal, so you wouldn't
Mhm.
think it's really worth much to me. No, it is, because DRI, Full Speed Ahead, was the first ever metal album that I liked. Because growing up,
Okay.
I'm not a metalhead. I don't care for the genre that much. I mean, I'm getting more into
Mhm.
it, but I Dirty Rotten Imbeciles with their 1995 album, which is technically their newest album, Full
Mhm.
Speed Ahead, is when my brain finally clicked on metal music. That's
There you go.
like their solos, the abrasiveness and the depth of it. Because
Mhm.
the problem is I have with metal is a lot of it's polished. The singers can sing. They can keep a
Mhm.
metal's supposed to sound good. Punk rock is supposed to sound like shit. And here's this
Mhm.
band, Dirty Rotten Imbeciles, DRI. Spike Cassidy can't sing worth a damn. I mean, he's tone deaf. He just shouts. His shitty shouting vocals and the elements of hardcore punk with thrash suddenly meet heavy metal or just metal with the solos. The music starts. I
Mhm.
mean, it's got its rawness, but it goes into this more polished metallic sense with Spike
Mhm.
Cassidy's vocals and his shouting. That's kind of when my brain just clicked. It's like, you know what? I mean, I love thrash metal, but if it weren't for that album, I wouldn't be into the metal I'm into today. I have to think DRI's Full Speed Ahead at number 10 on your top 5 list for getting me into metal. So I that's why it deserves to be at the end of your list there.
Well, thank you for giving us that list. So
Man,
we
I'm
got
gonna
10.
start drilling people as hard as you're drilling me. This ain't fair. I don't drill people this damn hard.
Well, it's like you said, it's your first time being interviewed, so
Well, no, it's not my first time. I've been interviewed before, but
I,
like not personally about me though. Like when I was in the
about you.
Philippines, I was at fuck, where was I? I was somewhere in Manila, and this camera crew of this
Mm,
Philippine college came up to me, and they were
mm,
asking me questions about Donald Trump, and I was like, Uh, I don't care. And I was interviewed once in 2013 when I worked at Rasputin, but that wasn't about me. That interview was about the record store in Rasputin. This is the first interview about me, which,
About you itself, right? So it's
yeah,
about you yourself.
it's gonna be weird uploading this to my YouTube channel.
We've got to get inside your head.
Oh
Yeah.
God, you're not gonna. You have
But
kids,
that was
right?
the last of it, though.
You have kids, right?
Yeah.
You probably don't want to go inside my head. You might not ever see me again. I did not just say that.
Nah, nah. It's just at least at the just a little below the surface. So that was the last of it, though. What would be your advice, Kaz, to young people listening, and as well as current underground musicians here in the Philippines?
Advice on what?
Yeah, in your craft regarding
Oh,
achieving your the sound that you wanna
That
realize.
you want to protect. Mhm.
I'll
Yeah.
say it in the most generic way, and then it'll be more explanatory.
Yeah.
Authority, but to be more explanatory on it, don't
Mm-hmm.
ever settle for less. Don't limit. That's so generic. Fuck that. Don't limit yourself. That's generic too.
Hmm.
You are capable of more than you think. Don't settle for your 9 to 5 grind at 7-Eleven or McDonald's. Become
Mm.
self-employed. Be a no. You don't have to listen to noise music, but the reason I love it is because it's limitless.
Mm.
I hate authority figures. To quote Greg Gaffin, I've always had a problem with authority. Just
Mm.
don't sit there and take shit from anyone. Get up, get
Mm.
out there, and do something, and become a marry a Filipino woman, become part of a scene, and become become relevant in your own way. I don't know. I'm not good at this. Just
But yeah, no, no,
do your
no,
thing.
yeah,
But those are good advices, actually.
Well,
speaks
yeah.
volumes, really. Yeah,
Yes.
true.
I,
That is true.
I just told
That is
myself
true.
by the time I'm 25, I better be self-employed because I'm not sweating my ass off in a factory or a fast food joint for the rest of my life.
And you know what? When you promise yourself and you give yourself a sort of a timeline or a
And hella
deadline,
criticize
go,
yourself like, oh my
yeah,
god, I am my biggest critic.
well, you have to be. You have to be your biggest believer and your biggest critic as
But
well.
at the same time, don't
At the
criticize
same,
yourself so much that you bring yourself into depression.
there's
Oh,
a
yeah.
certain balance to the two things, but you
Yes.
need both actually.
And
So,
I will throw this in here. I want to quote Arnold
mhm,
Morales. He posted
yeah,
this a couple years ago. Um,
hmm,
if a fish grows up being told he's mentally challenged because he can't walk on land, he'll believe it. Don't
mm,
ever, you know, for instance, I have a seriously bad reading disorder. I have severe dyslexia.
dyslexia. Okay.
Yeah, I've got
Hmm.
really bad
Hmm.
dyslexia. I have problems reading.
Hmm.
Don't if there's something that you can't do, like let's say if you can't walk or something, or
Hmm.
just if there's something that you can't do that you literally just cannot do whatsoever, you can't get good at it. Some things aren't for everyone, or like let's say there's a woman or a guy you like and
Hmm.
they don't like you back. It's
Hmm.
not your problem they don't like you back. It's just you're not their type of person. Everybody has their own path. Everybody has their own fluid, their own formula, their own heart, their own mind, their own soul, their
Hmm.
own
Let's.
Yes.
temple. If you
Uh-huh.
if you can't do something because of some limitation or just
Hmm.
whatnot, I mean, yeah, you can try your hardest, but just keep trying different things. Don't be like,
Hmm.
okay, here's a good idea. Here's let's say you started a business and it flopped because of whatever
Hmm.
reason. Maybe it just wasn't meant to be. Don't limit
Hmm.
yourself and always think of different things because you don't want to just get stuck on one thing and oh I can't do this. Let's say you just can't play the damn guitar. You've been trying for 10 years. You can't play it. I mean, not
Yeah.
saying to give it up, but always check out. Just look around. Just see what else you can do. Don't limit yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's always
Just
something that everyone is good at.
yeah, just
I
never
mean,
limit
each
yourself.
person has something that he's good at. It's just that not everyone tries to, um, you know, experiment on
Yes.
you're good at, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so don't limit yourself.
Yeah.
Wise words from
Never limit
Cat.
yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
And don't
That's
let
right.
anyone tell you what to do in life. To quote the legendary
Yes.
Penny Rimbaud and Steve Ignorant of Crass, uh,
Hmm.
Big A, Little A, bounce and beat. The systematic got you, but it won't get me. Don't live by your own rule.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. I mean, I can't dance for the life of me, even if somebody pointed a gun at my head and said dance. I just say, okay, I'm gonna die. Just let me sing. That's fine.
Well, you could say dance, dance, fucker, dance. You never had a chance. That's a
Oh, there you go.
offspring. I had to say that.
Was that from the
Offspring. You're in it.
American
Offspring.
American
Yeah.
album? Or yeah, that's Americana, right? Right, right.
Dance,
The
fucker,
little voice
dance.
from me.
You never.
There you go. So, Anarka Akaza,
Mhm.
uh, music journalist, noise artist, and record
Record.
label owner, right there. So, Kaz, any last words for our listeners for tonight?
Yeah, Malquita sa Pilipinas.
Yahoo!
Yeah.
There we go. And the other one is Ako sa Balakbayan,
Okay.
September or October. I don't think I said that part right, but I tried.
Babalik ako Jan, something like that.
Salamat
I
po
think.
sa having me on here.
Well, salamat. Maraming salamat sa iyo, Kaz. So,
Yeah, I can understand you. I just can't say it
yeah,
myself.
talaga ba naiintindihan mo kahit anong sabihin ko, kahit sinabi ko ngayon, putang ina.
Yeah, I didn't understand a word of that.
Did I just think that on there?
I didn't understand
I'm
a word of that.
because it was fast. But you did catch the cuss words right there.
Yeah, that's the important part.
Yeah, true that, true that. Well, looking forward to seeing you here, Kaz, when you
Oh hell yeah, man.
finally get to come back, and looking forward to meeting you and your wife,
Oh
and
yeah.
maybe have a
Yes,
couple.
and hopefully we can jam.
Yeah, true that, true that.
Oh yeah.
If,
Thank you for having me on here, man. First interview ever.
there you go,
It's
there
gonna
you
be
go.
it's gonna
Well,
be weird to help on this on my channel. Interview with also, but what's your radio station name again?
it's Jam Lemon Radio. It's
Jam.
basically it's an online radio station. So
I'm gonna
and
just call the video Jam Lemon Radio interviews me.
yeah, yeah,
There we go.
that's
That'll be the name of the video.
yeah. So you're uploading it on your YouTube channel.
Oh yes.
By the way, you want to plug your record label page and
With
your YouTube channels,
actually
SoundCloud.
indie
Hmm.
product doesn't have a page because I'm not gonna
Oh,
do that with it. But for all my,
oh.
if you are based in the Philippines,
Hmm.
please follow Mutilated Noise Records. If for
There you
all of
go.
my releases, Noah Puncture releases that shit. For everything
Hmm.
else, Discogs.com. Just look for indie product on there. I don't have a page set up. I will here soon, but indie product on there. That's PRODUKT. ND is in North Dakota. And my
Hmm.
YouTube channel is youtube.com/Anarka Akaza.
There you go.
If you're from the Philippines, then you probably know who I am.
All right,
Oh, my
so
SoundCloud is everything about me is Anarka Akaza all across the web.
as well as SoundCloud and
Yeah,
YouTube, right? All right,
yes,
there you go.
everything's
Anarka Akaza, guys. So that's spelled as it sounds. Anarka Akaza
yeah, boy.
on Lemon
And
Radio. Thank you
and
so much, Kaz.
hell yeah,
And
bro.
sorry, did you want to say something?
Oh no, I was gonna say thank you to what's that guy's name, Lynn, Jim,
Friends. I'm sorry.
that commented earlier. I was gonna thank
Oh,
the
Lyndon. Lyndon.
Oh,
Lyndon.
Lyndon
Lyndon and the other guy. Thank you for commenting and asking the
Zaltar.
questions.
in Zaltar.
Zaltar.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I was gonna thank them for participating in this.
They're top fans of Jam Lemon Radio, as
And
well
Yeah.
as
thank
their
you
artists.
to
Yeah.
Rob and friends for having me on here.
Always our pleasure.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah. So hopefully we get to talk to you again in the future.
Oh, you will, you will,
Um,
you will.
yeah, maybe if you come over here, we can have a live session in just one room. You know,
Hell yeah.
so yeah, that's something we can do. Yeah.
Perfect, man.
All right. So, Kaz, I think it's what it's six what
It's almost 8 o'clock
7,
in the morning here. It's like 7:40
almost
a.m.
8 there.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
getting ahead.
All right. Thanks so much. We'll catch you later then.
Yep. Hey,
Thank you, brother.
have a good
All
Yeah,
one.
thank you
right.
so
Take care. Bye bye.
That was fucking cool.